So today we're going to be talking about something that I've wanted to for a while. Today I'm going to give an overview on how I make my videos. So that's stuff like what software I use and what my general process is. Hopefully this video is useful to someone, but with that said, let's get on to talking about how I make my videos with completely free and open source software. Right now on the Linux Lounge. So first I have to say, I do indeed make all of my videos on Linux and I'm proud to do so. Linux is the perfect platform for me to make my videos on. It's rock solid and has a great library of software to make videos with. I also do make my videos using completely free and open source software, and that works extremely well too, and I have every program that I could possibly need for my workflow. Now before I start talking about how I make my videos, I need to draw a sort of arbitrary line between the two types of content that I make, because the method of production is different for both. Although oftentimes the method of production can be similar, it's still quite different. The two types of content that I make are scripted videos, where I'll script something and then sit down and read from the script, and an unscripted video is where I'll talk about something with a set of notes on hand to help out, but overall it's not scripted. Typically my distro and program reviews are unscripted and everything else is scripted. But of course there are very often exceptions to that, and in the future I might actually change my method, although that's my current way of doing things and it seems to work. So usually all of my videos begin with a random idea that I'll get at some point. I actually have a notepad document on my phone of a list of ideas that I could use in the future, but quite often an idea will just kind of come to me and I'll neglect to do my list. It really all depends on how I feel. So once I've decided to make a video, the process between a scripted and improvised video immediately differs. So first I'll talk about how I make a scripted video, as it's the lengthier of the two processes. To make a scripted video, first I'll write out a script in LibreOffice, which is a great office suite by the way. Often I'll make notes, but sometimes I'll just go for it and see what happens, which often means I'll sort of, write what I think and then go back and correct it later and tweak it and that sort of thing. Oftentimes I'll delete whole paragraphs and stuff like that if it doesn't quite flow properly, and I'll sort of continue that process until I get a script that I like. Although the script isn't really the be-all end-all, as often I'll improvise if I think of something to say when I'm recording the script. It all depends really. Next, once I have my script, I'll go ahead and open up Audacity and put the script to the side and begin recording. Audacity works really well for this purpose, but since I don't use Audacity for much else, I'm not really able to comment on how good the program is beyond saying that I personally like it. Also, if anyone's curious, I use a Blue Snowball mic and it seems to work well enough, although I think I could really probably do with a pop filter. Once I'm done recording, which often takes several takes, I'll go ahead and go through the audio and cut out any breaks, mistakes or breathing sounds I've accidentally made or left in. Now, I admit that I don't do any other post-processing other than that, and I should really probably do more with my audio, which I am looking into the possibility of perhaps looking into learning more about audio engineering and that sort of thing, or possibly using one of the many automated audio editors that are available. But for now, I just record my audio and cut it down. Once I've done a recording, I will export it and number it according to what order the files go in, because I record in multiple sections. Once I've done everything, it's pretty much ready to be edited. So with that said, let's go ahead and talk about how I get my improvised videos to this point. Now, typically when I'm making an improvised video, I'll start by taking notes on my phone about the things that I want to talk about. Often these notes can get pretty in-depth, often to the point of nearly being a script in of themselves. Usually my improvised videos are distribution reviews, so the kinds of things that I'll be making notes about are my thoughts on a distro and what features and other things like that I specifically want to talk about. Once I've done that, I'll put my phone where I can see it, so I can read the notes while I make the video. Typically when I'm recording an improvised video, I will use Simple Screen Recorder to capture everything. There are definitely more powerful and probably better programs to record my screen and audio, but honestly I like Simple Screen Recorder. I've used it for almost as long as I've been doing YouTube and it seems to work very well, so I continue to use it. What I'll generally do when I'm improvising is do everything in one long take. If I need to stop for any reason, I just edit that out and edit out any mistakes or long pauses that I make. Generally I find that that works fairly well, especially when I started using notes. There are probably better ways to do this, but it seems to be the method that works for me. Once I've recorded the video, it's time to get everything edited together. Now generally the editing process is largely the same regardless of whether a video is improvised or scripted. The program that I use for video editing is Kdenlive. It's great and a powerful program, although I do have a few gripes with it. I do still swear by it though, and it's still the program that I recommend to everyone seeking out now a free video editor, although I expect that at some point I'll end up switching to Olive in the future because that looks like a very promising program. Now, as for how I tend to make my YouTube videos, it's honestly nothing super complicated. I tend to drag and drop all of my files that I need into Kdenlive, let Kdenlive render proxy clips from them so I can play everything back at full speed without dropping too many frames, and then I get to work. I usually drag all of my video and audio onto the timeline and make sure that it's loud enough and cut anything out that I don't want. If I'm only working with audio files, I'll add my background to the video. If I'm working with video only, I tend to leave the video as is. This is also the time where I go out and gather any assets that I might need, and honestly, I know it's not the most systematic way to do things, but this section of the process is really a free-for-all. I've been known to do things like screen recording, searching the internet for images, and even taking photos to use in my videos during this section of the process. I don't pre-plan this sort of thing. I'll then go ahead and add the assets that I've gathered into the video and add transitions and stuff like that. I'll then add any miscellaneous edits that I might need and add my outro in. I also do manually edit the Patreon supporters credits into every outro as opposed to having one outro for the entire month. So if you join my Patreon mid-month, you'll get your name in the credits immediately. So I'd say all in all, my editing process is fairly simple and nothing complex. I know that some people spend days on it, but to be honest, for the type of videos that I make, I don't think that's necessary. Once I'm done editing, I'll then go ahead and render my video and proceed on to the next step of the process. Now, the next step in my workflow is to go ahead and make the thumbnail. Now, I'm not a graphics designer, so this step is also fairly simple in my workflow. The program that I tend to use is Krita. I used to use the GNU image manipulation program, and although I like that program a lot, I find that Krita does more for me more easily and is every bit as good as Photoshop and indeed the GNU image manipulation program. But that's just my personal opinion. What I'll do is I'll open my thumbnail template in Krita, add some text, add an image relevant to the video, and add outlines and other effects around the text and image. There's really nothing fancy about my thumbnails, and I do at some point want to change the system that I use to make them as well as the design of them, but for now that's how I tend to do it, and I think the results are alright. By the time I've made the thumbnail, everything is at this point ready to upload. The video should be rendered, so at which point I go ahead and upload it to all the sites I'm on. I won't bore you with the boring details about that, but it's a fairly standard upload process. And with all of that done, I'm then left with an uploaded Linux Lounge video that's ready to watch. I'll then post it to my Mastodon page and watch over the comments and video generally for a few hours to make sure all is well. But with that said, that's my process of making a video start to finish. I hope you got something out of it and enjoyed it. But with that said, that's it for today's video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.